Welcome back, everyone. This is quilt binding take 2. You can see I have my sandwich. The back, the top, we're sewing the binding to the top, wrapping it around and hand sewing it to the back. You can see that I have trimmed my block, which is different from what the book indicates. I've also quilted the top here very simply. Here's a little star, here's a little square, here's a bar tack. I try and look for the easiest way to do that because that's not one of my favorite jobs. If you'll look on page 116 in your book at the photograph number 3, it should look just like this setup here on my sewing machine. We don't have any stuff here, remember, because we've trimmed it all off. We're going to sew just the bottom half of the binding to the quilt between the 2 pins. Then we're going to start and sew both halves of the binding down to the 1/4 inch mark. I make the corner just like I showed you last week. I continue to sew here. I make the next corner. I sew the next corner back, and we'll end joining the 2 together. You might not be able to see it, but it looked like I was on a wavy, non-concentrating moment. And so all I did was go back over this and sew a correct 1/4 inch seam. Very easy to correct. So let me sew the corner down here, and then we'll talk about how we finish at the very end. Okay, so this, remember, is critical. I want that marked exactly a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to end up doing it the way I do it, which means I'm going to sew it off the edge. Take one more stitch. Sew it off the edge of the quilt. Okay, now we want this to come straight up. That should be a 45-degree angle. We want this to be straight up this way. We're going to bring this straight down and fold it. So this edge is parallel across here. We don't want this sneaking out like this. We want it to be our 45-degree angle, and for this to come directly down on top of it. Now, as I did last time, I'm going to start sewing down a little bit because it's very bulky up here. Go back and then come back down again. Okay, so if we were going to finish it, I would sew to the end, to this 1/4 inch mark, make the corner, sew to this end over here, make the corner, and as I came down here, I would be cutting all of this off. I would be sewing down here. I want to tuck this tail down into this little pocket. And so a nice way to do that is simply to take your scissors and cut it off at the same angle as the fold. Tuck it in here. It is a little bulky. And then we're sewing our 1/4 inch seam all the way down here until we join with where we started. Let's see what our corners look like. Over here, try not to get my hands in the way, I'm going to fold over. I tend to tuck this back up here and then I get a cleaner fold. You can use those little hair clips, those are handy. It's not as nice as I'd like it. Let's see if we can, yeah, it's pretty good. You can see that. See what it looks like on the other side. Not maybe as good as I'd like it, but not too bad. Let's see what this one looks like. You can press that if you want to, if it's not rolling around the way you think it should far enough. So if I, again, tuck this back up in here, then when I fold that down, I get a pretty, and I fuss with it a little bit. Not as good as I'd like it. I could fuss some more, but I don't think I'll have you watch that. They're not all perfect. I'm a little happier with that. This one still has kind of a rough corner out here, but we'll let it go at that. Thank you very much.